Contrived Apple Vision Pro controversies, and iPhone takes the top 7 spots. This is MacVoices. Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by Backblaze. MacVoices listeners get a fully featured no-risk free trial at backblaze.com/MacVoices. Well, let's talk about Apple Vision Pro. There were two things that came up this past week. One is that some Apple Vision Pro units are developing cracks in the cover glass.
Really?
And I'm hoping that Marty and Eric have not experienced this. And if you have,
yeah, I'm looking.
He's looking now. Oh boy!
Oh, he got it back.
I haven't experienced it, and that's because I don't do stupid. If you look at these articles, there are people who are putting the covers on them, keeping the battery attached, which means that the Vision Pro is still running and connecting with the internet and doing all its stuff, even though there's maybe nothing going on in the screen. And then they're taking that battery and daisy chaining it into the wall so the batteries and then they wonder after the thing heats up like crazy, why they're getting cracks in their screen. I don't know why people take new technology and do stress tests on it like that. And I don't think and it's sort of like, should Apple have put out a warning when they sent the thing out? Please don't plug it in, put the cover on it, let it heat up, and then, having it crack at the one stress line or the major stress line in it. I just don't understand it. But why people test it to that extreme. It's just simple, proper care of the thing, and you won't see these kind of stress factors. Eric, what's your thoughts?
I plug it in, charge it, stick it in a container, carry it around. I try not to let the battery run down low because then it overheats. But if it's mostly charged, most of the time that seems to kind of still work. I kind of leave the zipper open a little to let some of the heat out. So far, no cracks. Yeah, I push my stuff a lot. All the stuff you said don't do, I have done so far over this past couple of weeks. And it's kind of worked. But I understand it generates heat. Like if I run the battery down pretty low, plug it in, it's better to leave it open so there's some airflow.
Eric, take your Vision Pro and drop it in a vat of mayonnaise. I would just be curious.
Yeah, that takes a
since you
lot
like
of
testing
time.
the stress of it, just see how mayonnaise works on it.
Yeah, no, I don't recommend it because it's kind of greasy and it's really hard to get it off.
And do not put it in Miracle Whip. That ruins everything.
Including your sandwich.
Including your sandwich.
The mayonnaise problem is a problem because it gets on the speakers and our microphone grills. So yeah, don't.
And don't feed it after midnight. Yeah. So Eric, clarify for me though, when you say things are plugged in and things get warm. So what specifically gets warm? Is the battery pack gets warm? Does the headset get warm?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So
does the marshmallow get warm?
If you're just running around with the battery, it's not bad. But if you run around with the battery a bunch and then you say, "Oh, that's right, I need it charged," and then plug it in. If it was really low and it's got a long ways to go to charge, especially if you plug it into a higher wattage charger, so it's charging quickly, this can heat up a little bit, right? And if you have it in a case, while it's heating up, it doesn't release the heat a lot. You get a little bit of let's see, pull this off. A little bit of heat that generates here and here. And the cover's not horrible, but if you look at what it's covering, those are the vents
Mm.
heat is supposed to come out of. So if it's charging or it, like doing something and then you cover everything up, that causes problems. I'm thinking it's supposed to kind of go into a low power mode and not do anything. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if the earlier software releases had a problem where it sometimes was still doing stuff in the background. There was the fourth beta came out today.
Right.
But I haven't under the recent updates, I hadn't seen the same heat problems. Under the earlier updates I did, but then I also had recently wiped and then reinstalled everything. So it was doing all the indexing and everything else. I haven't wiped it recently. So I'll have to try doing another wipe with the later version of the software to see if it was a software patch that keeps it from overheating, or if it was just that it runs a little hotter for a while like phones do, and now that it's been a few days, not sure.
The speculation is that this not shutting off when it's sitting by itself for a good period of time can be fixed with a simple software upgrade.
That's
that'll fix that and prevent that problem. But I don't think it was a problem that Apple predicted. Oh, we're going to have people who are just going to leave it on and plugged in and close it in a case. Because I don't think they saw that as how people would be using the product.
I have a feeling they tested that.
You do?
Yeah. It's okay. So the scenario that Eric described, where he's throwing the stuff in the bag and stuff's plugged in, I think that's what most people are doing with this. And at the same time, though, Marty, what you're saying about, hey, people should know better than to not baby a product like this. That's fair. But most people aren't going to do that. And I'm certain Apple knows most people aren't going to do that, even though they're dropping over $3,500 on this thing. People are going to throw it in bags. They just expect it to hold up to whatever abuse they give it. So my guess is that the real problem here isn't the way people have been taking care of or abusing the product. I think it's a manufacturing defect that affected a small batch of Vision Pros, and that's something that Apple is probably already watching closer to make sure that they don't have glass pieces with whatever weakness they're probably already aware of now at that one point in the glass.
Yeah. I mean, it's not just having the battery plugged in, it's having the battery plugged in and then having it also the battery plugged into an external charger to keep the battery going. So for whatever purpose, the device can keep going. Some people were saying, well, I'm using it to connect with iCloud and I needed to have it running and things like that.
Sure.
But
and think about how many people have a laptop and they just leave it plugged in all the time.
yeah.
And if that's how you're using your laptop, then why would you not use your Vision Pro the same way? Now, I'm not excusing people abusing their kit, but at the same time, Apple knows how we abuse our stuff. They have tons of data. So my guess is that if they hadn't been already working to make this as durable as they could, we would have been seeing reports already about cracked glass, lots of scratches.
Mm-hmm.
And really the only thing we're seeing right now is there's a small number of people that right at that weak point at the bridge, they're getting that vertical crack.
Jeff, I'm going to push back on you a little bit on the MacBooks being constantly plugged in. First of all, I'm one of those that's guilty of that. Mine's plugged in most of the time, unless I'm
Same. And I know better, but
Yep.
it's plugged in almost all the time.
Well, but it's not plugged in inside my backpack or inside a case, a soft shell case or something like that, where I know that the heat is going to build up. Because look, I know the computer gets warm, and if you put it in insulation, much like a human being, it's going to get hot, and at some point, hopefully it doesn't get hot enough to catch fire, but it's certainly not going to do any good for the device. So I hear what you're saying, and I understand why someone would say, look, I want to plug everything in so that the device is charged, the battery's charged and everything, so that tomorrow I'm ready to go and do whatever I want with it, wherever I want. So, Barry, and I'm not sure who can answer this. Barry in the chat room said, can't the battery be charged without it being connected to the unit?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sure.
The irony is they're paying a $300 fee on top of getting it fixed. Apple is not like saying, okay, we'll take care of this. So if they have Apple Plus on it, they're paying a $300 fee, and then another battery would cost them $200. So there's it's cheaper just to get another battery and have charge handled that way.
And just cycle them back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, most of the time, the reason why the situation comes up is it's being used a bunch, and then I'm going from point A to point B driving and trying to charge it at the same time. And it's sort of I don't want to scratch it, so I don't want it rolling around in the car, but I also want to do the charge. Yeah, if I disconnect it, plug it in, that might be safer. On the other hand, then I have the wait time of letting it boot back up again and getting it going. For the most part, as long as the battery's not fully discharged and I'm not in the middle of moving a bunch of pictures, it doesn't seem to overheat. Now, I have noticed that my phone will go into a thermal shutdown where it stops charging until the temperature decreases. The computer does a thermal thing. I can't remember if it shuts off or just stops charging if you have it inside a sleeve, inside your backpack, and plugged in. That was an accident. I wasn't thinking, I don't know, like I had it sticking out of the backpack and it dropped down in, and I came back later and it was toasty. But it didn't burn. So yes, yeah, there seem to be at least some software protections. I'm not sure that they were there with the first version of the software, or maybe weren't fully implemented, or they missed something. But it seems to have run cooler recently. I still am not sure. Is it because I haven't rebuilt it? I mean, it's been running with the same installation now for almost 2 weeks. Maybe it's like a phone, settled in. It's not indexing anything, so it's not drawing as much power. Not sure.
Or maybe one of those upgrades solved whatever the issue is too. So
we'll try throwing it away, and then we'll see if it heats up again.
Today's MacVoices is supported by Backblaze. MacVoices listeners get a fully featured, no-risk free trial at backblaze.com/MacVoices. Let me make a few things perfectly clear. I am a Backblaze user. I have been a Backblaze user for years. I've used Backblaze to protect my data personally, and I've used Backblaze to protect my data professionally. In all that time, Backblaze has never let me down when I needed to recover something. Backblaze has also never interfered with me getting what I needed to get done. I've introduced plenty of people to Backblaze, and now I want to introduce you. I'll be telling you a lot of facts about Backblaze, but let's start with the first question you will ask. How much? Backblaze is $99 a year for unlimited cloud backup. That's unlimited cloud backup. Think about all the data stored on your computer right now. Precious photos, tax records, banking information, work projects, personal projects, and more. Isn't that worth taking precautions to back that data up off-site? If or when the need arises, you can access that data from anywhere in the world using the Backblaze web app, iOS app, or Android app. Or in the event of a catastrophic issue, you can get all your data back quickly on a hard drive shipped directly to you. Just send the drive back within 30 days and get a full refund for it, or keep the drive. There are so many things to appreciate about Backblaze, and so many benefits. For now, as a MacVoices listener or viewer, you can get a fully featured, no-risk free trial at backblaze.com/MacVoices. Go there, play with it, and start protecting yourself from potential bad times. Start today. Backblaze.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Backblaze for protecting my data and for their support of MacVoices. The other Vision Pro story that caught my eye, this is one of those that just makes me crazy. That the cost of the parts of the Vision Pro is alleged to be $1,500. And so there's a faction of the internet that's going crazy saying, oh my God, Apple is profiteering. Since we all know that the software developed for the Vision Pro costs nothing to develop.
Yes,
And
it
R&D is free also.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
They're going to be
Very
they're going to
nice.
be selling kits that you can put your own Vision Pro together at a much cheaper.
yes, and they also have a wizard that
AliExpress.
puts them together magically, then magically ships them across oceans for free.
Right. And packaging is free as well. Don't forget that.
Yeah,
And all those Apple stickers. Those are pricey.
well, those with how many they get basically are free.
I don't think the Apple Vision comes with an.
They did. I was going to ask Eric that. I don't think they come with a sticker. So we're subsidizing stickers.
So Apple's getting cheap on us.
Wait till these people find out how much the soda you buy at your fast food outlet actually costs.
Yeah.
Oh,
The headlines, Chuck, that's what's really killing me. Like, I will read the one that you shared with us ahead of time. Vision Pro costs Apple less than half to make the headset than what it charges customers to buy it. That is a completely irresponsible headline. And I would go so far as to say it's clickbait.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But the thing is, Jeff, I agree with you 100%. And it is, once again, it's time to remind folks to, look at the headlines and how they're trying to influence you. They're almost trying to make you judge the story before you read the story. Or
that's the only part that you read is the headline.
Yeah, yes.
I'm surprised iMore published something like that too.
Well, I was a little surprised too, but there were others out there as well. There were others that were getting snarky about Apple's profit margins. And, there are times that's just like, don't any of these people and don't the people that read the stuff understand how business works and, that all the other associated costs with it that, that come to bringing it to market and having to get a decent return of rate on their investment?
Certainly not.
Yeah, maybe
they don't care.
Well, they don't care because they don't see it that way. I mean, from what I have not done the demo yet, as hard as that is to believe, but
I haven't either.
A lot of you all have, and two of you have Vision Pros, and from everything you've said, it's truly an amazing experience, and we're only in the early stages of the first generation. So there's been a lot of work that has gone into this, and yet that apparently doesn't matter. That's all free.
Consumers base the value of a product on emotion, not on what it actually costs to make.
Well, anybody that's going to be affected by this headline wasn't buying the product anyway.
Now, that's probably true. That's probably true.
I think it does affect people a little bit in that it I think leads some people who read the headline to think, well, if I just wait a little while, it'll drop in price. And I don't foresee the price dropping anytime soon.
Apple's never.
That's not Apple's way.
Never do that. That's not their way. It's not the way.
Doesn't cost $2,495 to buy a Macintosh anymore. I think this product will eventually cost less than $3,500.
Oh, eventually, Jim. Yeah, eventually.
Well,
So 2,500.
well, I don't
Yeah.
know if the Vision Pro will cost less than this, but I think there will be Vision devices that do.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
that's true.
I want to hit two other quick ones before we get out of here. From Apple World today, Apple's iPhone captured the top 7 positions in the global list of best-selling smartphones in 2023. And they were the top 7, by the way, followed by the by 3 of the Galaxies from Samsung. So I just think it's really interesting that for all the griping, and 2 of those were Maxes. And I think, let's see, 2 of those are Maxes. There was another Pro. And yet we still hear the pundits and the analysts say, well, we need cheaper iPhones.
I think we'd all like cheaper
doing it
iPhones.
yeah, that's emotion.
Yeah, good point. Good point, Jeff. Yeah, so the analysts always love cheaper. There's no question about that. Last thing I wanted to touch on, we talked about this a few months ago, and now it's back in the news, I guess, after so many months. There's a big discussion of the FineWoven cases. And Marty, you made a comment about this somewhere along the way with the Apple Car when we started about FineWoven tires. Do you have a FineWoven case?
I purchased the FineWoven case because, I'm a big Apple supporter, and I've had it on my phone for maybe a total of 3 days over the last 6 months. I took it off and replaced it with a clear case because I didn't want to pay a lot of money for a phone and then cover it up. So I was going to go bare with it and just deal with it because I'm paying for Apple Plus Care anyways. But instead went with a clear case. And I know Guy just held one case up. The clear cases that are very slippery for me, and I had to find kind of a grippy clear case. And I tried to look to find out what the model was, and couldn't find it anywhere on there. But so I've been using the clear case in lieu of the FineWoven, and it's somewhere in my drawers here. But I was not impressed with it. And I'm not surprised the reports are talking about how it's fallen apart.
In general, I used to like Apple's cases. I gave up on them. Every time I would buy one, they would wear out within less than 3 months. I mean, just starting at the beginning, going from the older iPhones to now, I can't buy them anymore. And now people showing those pictures of the worn area of a FineWoven case and how the discoloration happened that quickly. I mean, Apple, I don't understand why you can't make a good case. I mean, you make other great products, but these cases are just not good.
Yeah,
I've had good luck with the silicon cases.
Yeah, those wore out for me too.
No, they're fine for me.
Yeah, at this point, FineWoven is the most Revision A product of any Revision A in history.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a pretty tough competition.
Yeah, Apple's released some hardcore Rev A stuff.
So, okay, so does anybody here have a FineWoven case that they've used consistently? Okay, so I don't know. I mean, it's hard to discount some of the reports I've seen. I don't have a FineWoven case. I've never liked cloth cases. I want something that's going to go in and out of my pocket easily. That's one reason a lot of times even the rubberized or vinyl cases aren't really good for me, depending on how hard the finish is. So I can't comment on this, but it really is interesting to see just how harshly these cases have been judged. And I was curious to see if any of you had them.
Case. I'm happy with it.
Yep, me too. Actually, Dave gave me this clear case.
Yep.
Chuck, my hypothesis is that Apple really thought people would go for this. The FineWoven cases, and I also get that their whole thing with this is that they're getting away from using leather products, and they're trying to do things that are more environmentally friendly with product design. Okay, so setup. Here's the hypothesis. This is really a 1-year product, and we will see an alternative, environmentally friendly-ish alternative next year, or I guess this fall, when new iPhone models come out.
Bring back the socks.
Yeah, bring back those socks.
There was a revision A product, Ben.
I think there was only one revision.
Yeah. And
This
the
might be like
FineWoven
that too.
band I have, it still looks good. I took it off because I just really like wearing the sprinkledy Pride band. But yeah, the FineWoven band, that's holding up great for me.
Now, Jeff, that's an interesting comment because I've only seen this about the cases. So I guess cases get beat up more than watch bands.
I think generally speaking, yeah, cases take a lot more abuse than watch bands. Cases are going in pockets, in bags. People drop their phones all the time. They get tossed on tables, and it's people are rough on their phones.
Oh yeah. Guys, it's been a good discussion. Thank you so much. We covered a lot of ground. And again, most of it was Apple related, or at least started out that way. But I love these kind of conversations because they take us outside of our usual echo chamber into other areas. So thank you for everybody for sharing all your thoughts and wisdom. So let's go around the room, let folks know where they can find you, and we'll get out of here. So since David dropped to the bottom, I'm going to start with him again, and then we're going to go work our way back up. So because I feel bad, David, you spent half the show in the basement.
Yeah.
So where can
are we still in the basement?
Well, yeah, that's kind of where I am every single time.
Where can folks find you, David?
Thanks for having me, Chuck. Yeah, I did follow along during my camping out in the basement. You can find me at In Touch with iOS, intouchwithios.com. YouTube channel is youtube.com/intouchwithios. Guy Serle's going to be on the show this week. It's going to be exciting, along with Jeff and Ben. So also you can find me on the Mac Show on Fridays, as well as on Mastodon at DaveG65 at mastodon.cloud. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Glad you made it through the tornadoes.
Yes.
Jim Rea, the real Jim Rea. Where can folks find you?
Sounds like a T-shirt.
Oh, you missed it earlier. We had a Bizarro Jim Rea on here. And you kind of look like you could be a Bizarro Jim Rea too, doesn't he? Doesn't Guy?
Maybe.
I think we should.
He's got the hat. He's got the beard.
We all need to start doing Jim cosplay.
I'm keeping my eye
waiting
on
for the
it.
hand palm.
Yeah. I won't shave next week. I'll see how that goes. Jim, where can folks connect with you?
Well, you can find me cruising around in my new electric car. Hello, Isaac again. He apparently did see us saying that. He texted me on the side. But other than that, on the intertubes at provue.com, PROVUE, and also on Mastodon at ProView Jim at techhub.social.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations on the new car. We'll be anxious to get a report on it. Guy Serle.
Yeah.
Always in the basement. I didn't know that, but that's okay.
Always. My wife lets me out every once in a while.
I'm
under protest.
Your wife is a very wise woman.
She is. Very so wise.
And a saint.
Except in one particular decision that she made, but we won't go into that.
She was intoxicated.
All those microphones.
No, it has to do with the whole marriage thing.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, yeah. You can get a hold of me. Email is guy@mymac.com. I do the mymac.com podcast every single week, or almost every single week, with Gazmaz. I've just recently, like yesterday, restarted up Guy's Daily Drive, so you can find that. You can find all the videos for those over on the Tubes of You. I can also be found over on the X, Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it, as both Mac Parrot and Vert Shark. I can be found on Counter Social and Mastodon.social as Mac Parrot. And we have a Google Voice number, which is 703-828-4677. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff Gamet, the guy who doesn't sport. where can folks find you?
I get it. You're just calling them like you see them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. That's a fair call.
Right down the middle.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So when I'm not sporting, I'm on social media as J Gamet, and I'm active on Mastodon, Instagram, and Threads right now. And then for the other times when I'm not sporting, then I'm probably on podcasts, which means Tuesday evenings here, because Chuck is either a glutton for punishment or the most incredibly patient person in the world, because you keep letting me come back. Then speaking of glutton for punishment, Dave Ginsburg lets me join in on In Touch with iOS on Thursdays. And whoop, whoop. And on the British Tech Network, Thursdays, The Big Show, Fridays, The Mac Show. And as if that's not enough, Brian Chaffin and I do The Context Machine.
Thank you, Jeff. Good to have you as always.
It's always a blast.
I'm not even going to try to make a smart comment about Webb. I'm just glad to have him back. Webb, thanks so much for being here. I'm so glad you're back. Where can folks connect with you?
It's good to be back. You know what? Let's see through the list that I have here. We'll just go with on Mastodon. It's Webb Bixby at twit.social.
Great. Thanks so much. Be back next week, or we're coming looking for you.
Uh-oh.
Ben Roethig, how is the snow piling up yet?
I have not looked outside because I'm also in the basement.
Gee.
We're a couple of basement dwellers.
Yeah, apparently so. Where can folks connect with you, Ben?
Well, you can find me at Ben Roethig on the socials. Roethig.tech for my writings. And all the podcasts that Jeff just talked about, minus the Context Machine.
But someday it'll happen.
It almost did.
So close.
Thank you, Ben. Eric Bolden, I have a confession. When you first showed your background, I thought that's a really dumb bridge to have the planks laid longwise. What kind of bridge is that? That's why I was so confused when you said snow. It's like, oh yes, now I get it. So, where can folks find you?
The easiest is on Mastodon, EA Bolden at techhub.social or at mas.to for bridge pictures and bird pictures and stuff.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Good to have you.
Good.
Marty Jencius, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Where can folks find you?
Mastodon is probably your best shot. Jencius, Jencius at mastodon.social, and also at the Tech Savvy Professor podcast and Circular Firing Squad podcast.
Great. Thank you, Marty. Last but absolutely not least, he snuck up into the top spot and I put him at the end. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs, thank you so much. Where can folks connect with you when you're not sports book betting?
Yes, but not on the Packers because I'm not allowed to. But you won't find me in the basement either because we don't have those where I'm at. But Mastodon, Brian8944 at mastodon.cloud.
Great. Thanks so much, Brian.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I want to say a special thank you to the whole chat room. They've been very talkative tonight, both on topic and off topic. So, guys, thanks so much for being here. Brittany Smith is in the chat room still. She's debating how she's going to do her Jim Rea impression. So
It's going to be
Bring a
great.
hat.
I have no
Just bring a
doubt.
hat.
Gonna
Yeah, it's
be
gonna-
epic.
Going to be
And
a
a
little bit
fake
tough.
beard.
So,
Yeah, Britt, here's the thing. You have to do the fake beard
Mhm.
and go and watch Monty Python and the Holy Grail, so that it's not
Old
Holy Grail.
times.
It's Life of Brian. Watch Life of Brian so you know how to properly wear the beard.
Yes.
okay.
And bring rocks.
And bring rocks.
Okay.
And a shrubbery.
That's Holy Grail.
That's Holy
We've got a
Grail.
big crowd on YouTube today too.
Yeah,
This
we've
is
had
the
a
biggest,
we've had a good group.
biggest.
You know, and I also should mention, I think it was Rich F in our chat room also was under Tornado
lives-
Sirens.
He lives
Oh,
near me.
So, yeah, so I hope you made it through okay as well.
Yep, he did.
With that, this is Mac Voices Live. We do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. You can count on that at youtube.com/Mac Voices TV. So please put it on your calendar. Join us next week because we're going to have at least as much fun as we did this week, if not more. I'm Chuck Joyner. As always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.